Morning students. Today's class we will see about one of the management process, that is leadership. Leadership in business is the capacity of a company's management to set and achieve challenging goals, take fast and decisive action when needed, outperform the competition and inspire others to perform at the highest level they can. Leadership and management. Leadership focus on self. It take risk, encourages, go against the grain, motivate, break the rules, inspire, trust, foster ideas. Management focus on tasks like tell it, minimize the risk, instruct, go with the flow, approve, follow the rules, expect control, assign tasks. Both leadership and management together accomplish a goal, mobilize resources, and explain the vision. Leadership is about establishing direction and influencing others to follow. Management is about successfully administering many complex details involved in a business operation. Leadership pursues change and challenges the status quo, whereas management seeks to control and provide stability within the existing circumstances. Both management and leadership are necessary skills, but they can often overlap with one another. In most settings, the role of a manager includes both leadership and management function. Leadership skills are needed to set the vision, the management skills are needed to implement the plan to achieve that vision. Recognizing the difference between leadership and management, however, can help individuals to focus on developing their skills in both arenas. Greatest success comes when the strong leadership is paired with effective management. The seven primary leadership styles are autocratic style, authoritative style, persisting style, democratic style, coaching style, affiliative style, laissez-faire style. Leadership style is the manner and approach of providing direction, implementing plans, and motivating people. As seen by employees, it could total pattern of explicit and implicit actions performed by the leader. The first major study of leadership styles was performed in 1939 by Kurt Lewin, who led a group of researchers to identify different styles of leadership. This early study remained quite influential and has established the three major leadership styles in the US Army in 1973. They are authoritarian or autocratic, that means the leader tells his or her employees what to do, how to do without getting their advice. Second is participative democratic. The leader includes one or more employees in the decision making process, but the leader normally maintains the final decision making authority. Third is delegative or laissez-faire. The leader allows the employees to make the decisions, however, the leader is still responsible for decisions that are made. So, authoritative, participative, and free reign. Although good leaders use all these three styles, with one of them normally dominant, bad leaders tend to stick with the one style, normally the autocratic. Authoritarian or autocratic leadership, I want both of you. The leader's attitude will be, I want both of you. This style is used when the leaders tell the employees what they want to done, how they want it accomplished without getting the advice of their followers. Some of the appropriate condition to use this style when you have all information to solve a problem, you have a short time and on your employees are well motivated. Some people tend to think of this style as a vehicle for yelling, using demeaning language and leading by threats. This is not authoritarian style, rather it is abusive, unprofessional style called bossing people around. It has absolutely no place in a leader's repertoire. Authoritarian style should normally only be used in rare occasions. If the leader have the time and want to gain more commitment and motivation from employees, then the leader should use the participative style. Participative or democratic, that means let's work together to solve this problem. This style involves the leader including one or more employees in the decision making process. That means, however, the leader maintains the final decision making authority. Using this style is not a sign of weakness, rather it is a sign of strength that the employees will respect. This is normally used when a leader has part of the information and the employees have other parts. A leader is not expected to know everything. This is why leaders employ knowledgeable and skilled people. Using this style of a mutual benefit as it allows them to become part of the team and allows the leader to make better decisions. Delegative, laissez-faire leadership. You two take care of the problem while I go. That will be the attitude of the leader. In this style, the leader allows employees to make decisions. However, the leader is still responsible for decisions that are made. This is used when the employees are able to analyze the situation and determine what needs to be done and how to do it. Leader cannot do everything. Leader must set priorities and delegate certain tasks. This is not a style to use so that the leader can blame others when things goes wrong. Rather, this is a style to be used when the leader fully trusts and have a confidence in the people below the leader. Do not be afraid to use it, however, use it wisely. A good leader uses all these three styles depending on what forces are involved between followers the leader situation. Some examples include using authoritarian style on a new employee who is just learning the job. The leader is competent and good coach. The employee is motivated to learn new skills. The situation is new environment for the employee. Using a participative style with a team of workers who know their jobs, the leader knows the problem but does not have all the information. The employees know their jobs and want to become part of the team. Using delegative style with a worker who knows more about the job than you do. You cannot do and know everything, and the employee needs to take ownership of her job. In addition, this allows you to be more reproductive. Using all these three styles, telling the employees that the procedure is not working correctly and new one must be established, that is authoritarian. Asking for their ideas and input on creating new procedure, that is the participative. And delegating tasks in order to implement the new procedure, that is the delegative. Forces that influence style to be used include amount of time available, are the relationship based on respect and trust or disrespect, who has the information, you, the employee, or the both, how will your employees are trained and how will you know the task, internal conflicts, stress levels, type of task, structured, unstructured, complicated or simple. Presenting style. Do as I do. This is a phrase most indicative of leader who utilize presenting style. This style describes a very driven leader who sets the pace as in racing. Pace setters set their bar high and push the team members to run hard to fast finish the line. While pace setter style of leadership is effective in getting things done and driving for result, it is a style that can hurt the team members. For one thing, even most driven employees may become stressed working under this style of leadership in a long run. Authoritative style. The phrase indicative of this style leadership, also known as visionary, is a follow me. Authoritative leadership style is the mark of confident leaders who map the way and set expectations while engaging and energizing followers along the way. In a climate of uncertainty, these leaders lift the fog for the people. They help them see where the company is going and what's going to happen when they get there. Unlike autocratic leaders, authoritative leaders take the time to explain their thinking. They don't just issue orders. Most of all, they allow people choice and latitude on how to achieve common goals. Coaching style. When the leader have coaching leadership style, they tend to have considered this approach. A leader who coaches views the people as a reservoir of talent to be developed. A leader who uses coach approach seeks to unlock people's potential. Leader who use a coaching style open their hearts and doors for people. They believe that everyone has the power with themselves. A coaching leader gives people a little direction to help them tap into their ability to achieve all that they are capable of. Affiliative style. The phrase often describes the type of leadership people comes first. Of all leadership styles, the affiliative leadership approach is the one where the leader gets up close and personal with the people. A leader practicing this style pays attention to and to support the emotional needs of the team members. This leader strives to open up a pipeline that connects him or her to the team. Ultimately, this style is all about encouraging harmony and forming collaborative relationships within the team. It is particularly useful, for example, in smooth conflicts among the team members or reassuring people during the time of stress. Some of the important functions of a leader performs under. First one, leader develops teamwork. The three vital determinants of teamwork are leader, subordinates, and the environment. These factors are interdependent. It is the leader's responsibility to make the environment conducive to work. He inculcates the sense of collectivism in employee to work as a team. Use power properly. If the leader is to effectively achieve the goals expected of him, he must have the power and authority to act in a way that will stimulate a positive response from the workers. A leader, depending on the situation, exercise the different types, that is, reward power, conceive power, legitimate power, represents power, and expert power. Besides, the informal basis of power also have more powerful impact on the organizational effectiveness. No leader is effective unless subordinates obey his order. The leader is representative of subordinates. He is the intermediary between the work groups and the top management. They are called the linking pins by Renins Likert. Leader is an appropriate counselor. Quite often, people in the workplace need counseling to eliminate the emotional disequilibrium that is created sometimes in them. He removes the barriers and stumbling blocks to effective performance. Leader manages the time well. Time is precious and vital but often overlooked in management. There are three dimensions of time: boss imposed time, system imposed time, and self imposed time, that is the prominent in literature. Because the leader has the thorough knowledge of principles of time management such as time preparing charts, scheduling techniques, etc., he is in a position to utilize the time productivity and in the organization. Strive for effectiveness. Quite frequently, the managers are workaholic and too busy with the petty things to address the major details of effectiveness. To fill the gap, sometimes leader throws his concerted effort to bring the effectiveness by encouraging and nurturing the teamwork, by better time management, and by proper use of power. The leadership integrates efforts to followers the organization objective. Leadership directs the efforts of a group towards the attainment of objectives in the organization of his part. Each individual performs a part of the total work, and interaction of these parts as a whole is paramount importance towards the attainment of goal. Leadership performs functions of an intermediary between top management and the work group. Renins Likert was called them as the linking pins. As the linking pins, leaders integrate the whole organization. They represent the work group before the top executives and represent management before the work group. The effectiveness of an organization depends upon strength of these linking pins. The important functions of a leader as follows. First one is main function of leader is to make the environment conducive to work. He studies the followers individually. He instills in them interest to work. He creates a proper environment encouraging the inquisitive employees and by prohibiting insidious elements. He inculcates a sense of collectivity in the employees to work as a team. The leader must have thorough knowledge about the principles of the time management. He monitor the time in the interest of his organization. Leader should develop climate of cooperation among the workers. Leadership styles approaches play a very important role in developing industrial harmony. Leader should develop cooperation among subordinates to achieve a common goal. Sorry, these slides are just mixed up. Leaders work in appropriate counselor. Domination for use of power. A leader must use power and authority in the manner that will stimulate a positive response from subordinates. Leader must communicate the organization policy, procedures, and programs to members of the organization group. He must communicate authority and responsibility of each individual in a group so that the workers may know that he has to do and what not and how to do it. He must also communicate the results of his performance, good or bad, so that he may improve his effectiveness. Guidance and motivation. Plans are to be implemented. We have to convert blueprints into action. This requires continuous guidance, direction, and motivation. The manager guides, directs, motivates his subordinates who work with and for him to accomplish the results as per plans and policies. Guidance and motivation reflects the impact of a leader on his subordinates. It also represents downward communication. Understanding problems and feelings of subordinates. Empathy is defined as ability to place oneself in the position of another. Stimulating the person's feeling, values, problems, prejudices, such as understanding of the feelings, attitudes of subordinates is a second vital function to be performed by the leader. The functions of a leader are mentioned as the following points: delegating some part of authority to subordinates, planning and organizing tasks of the organization, guiding, teaching, inspiring subordinates, motivating subordinates to improve level of performance, influencing subordinates through rewards and punishment, creating a good climate to achieve maximum employee efficiency, promoting and protecting creativity and innovativeness, developing and maintaining skills of subordinates, interacting with subordinates and solving their problems, building and sustaining effective organizational culture, understanding expectations and aspirations of subordinates, managing the organizational resources. A 10 characteristic of a good leader: integrity, ability to delegate, communication, self-awareness, gratitude, learning ability, influence, empathy, courage, and respect. First one is integrity. The importance of integrity should be obvious, though it may not be necessarily be a metric in the employee evaluation. Integrity is essential for the individual and organization. It is especially important for the top level executives who are charting the organization's course and making countless on a significant decision. Ability to delegate. Delegating is one of the core responsibilities of a leader, but it can be tricky to delegate effectively. The goal isn't just to free yourself up, it is able to your direct reports, facilitate teamwork, provide autonomy, lead to better decision making, and help direct reports grow. Communication. Effective communication is intervening. Leader need to be able to communicate in a variety of ways, from transmitting information to coaching the people. A leader must be able to communicate with a range of people across the roles, social identities, and more. Follow these 5 tips can more effective communicator and learn how better conversations can improve your workplace culture. That self-awareness. While this is the more inwardly focused skill, self-awareness is a paramount for leadership. Gratitude, giving thanks, will actually make better leader. Gratitude can lead to higher self-esteem, reduce depression and anxiety, even better sleep. Learning agility. Learning agility is the ability to know what to do when you don't know what to do. If you are a quick study of or able to excel in unfamiliar circumstances, you might already be learning aging. But anybody can foster learning agility through practice, experience, and effort. Influence. For some people, influence feel like dirty word, but being able to convince people through logical, emotional, or cooperative appeals to be a component of being inspiring, effective leader. Influence is quite different from manipulation. It needs to be done authentically and transparently. Empathy. Empathy is correlated with job performance and a critical part of emotional intelligence and leadership effectiveness. Courage. It has been hard to speak up at work, whether you want to voice a new idea, provide feedback to a direct report, or flag concern for someone above you. That is part of reason courage is a key skill in a good leader. Rather than avoiding problems or allowing conflicts to fester, courage enables leader to set up and move things in a right direction. Respect. Treating people with respect on daily basis is one of the most important things a leader can do. It will ease tensions and conflict, create trust, and improve effectiveness. Respect is more than absence of disrespect, as it's shown in the many different ways. Assertiveness. It is a skill regularly referred to as social and communication skills training. Being assertive means being able to stand up with your own or other people's rights in a calm and positive way, without being either aggressive or passively accepting wrong. 3 C's of aggressive communication include confidence. You believe in your ability to handle a situation. Clear. Message you have is clear and easy to understand. Controlled. You deliver information in a calm and controlled manner. The cause of lack of assertiveness is stress. When people are stressed, often they feel like they have little or no control over the events in their lives. People who are stressed or anxious can often resort to a passive or aggressive behavior when expressing their thoughts and feelings. See 3 simple assertiveness things. Say no. It sounds obvious and it is obvious. If you don't want to do something, just say no. However, you may find no to be a hardest word to say. The broken record. This technique got its name for the day's vinyl record. Fogging. Fogging is used correctly can be enjoyable assertive technique. 5 characteristics of an assertive person. They have confidence in themselves. In order to be assertive, you need to know what your boundaries are, what you like and what you don't like. They respect the opinion of others. Assertive people have ability to validate others' feelings. Assertive individuals are good listeners, problem solving and compromise. Benefit of being assertive. One of the main benefits of being assertive is that it helps you to become a more self-confident as you gain better understanding of who you are and value that you offer. Assertiveness provides several other benefits that you can help you in both workplace and other areas of your life in general. Assertive people may make great managers. They get things done by treating people with fairness and respect and treated by others in the same way in return. This means that they often well linked and seen in leaders that have want to be worked. Negotiate successful win-win solutions. They are able to recognize the value of their opponent opposition and quickly find common ground with them. Are better doers and problem solvers. They feel empowered to do whatever it takes to find the best solution to problems that they encounter. Are less anxious and stressed. They are self-assured and don't feel that threatened or victimized when things don't go as planned or as expected. How to become assertive. It's not easy to become more assertive, but it is possible. So if your disposition or workplace tend to be more passive or aggressive than assertive, then it's a good idea to work on the following areas to help you to get balance right. First, value yourself and your rights. To be more assertive, you need to gain more understanding of yourself as well as strong belief in your inherent value and your value to the organization and team. This self-belief is the basis of self-confidence and assertive behavior. It will help you to recognize that you deserve to be treated with dignity and respect, give you confidence to stick up your rights and protect your boundaries, and to remain true to yourself you want and your needs. Second, voice your needs and wants confidently. If you are going up to perform to full potential, then you need to make sure that your priorities, your needs and wants are met. Don't wait for someone else to recognize what you need. You might wait forever. Take initiative and start identify the things that you want now. Then set goals so that you can achieve them. Acknowledge that you can't control other people's behavior. Don't make mistake of accepting responsibility for how people react to your assertiveness. If they, for example, act angry or resentful toward you, try to avoid reacting to them in the same way. Express yourself in a positive way. It is important to say that on your mind even when you have a difficult or negative issue to deal with, but you must do it constructively and sensitively. Be open to criticism and compliments. Accept both positive and negative feedback graciously, humbly, and positively. Learn say to no. Saying no is hard to do, especially when you are not used to do it, but it is vital if you want to become more assertive. Leaders help themselves and others to do the right things. They set directions, build an inspiring vision, and create something new. Leadership is about mapping out you need to go win a team or organization and dynamic, exciting, and inspiring, as well as direction, inspiration, guidance. Good leaders exhibit courage, passion, confidence, commitment, and ambition. They nurture the strengths and talents of the people, build teams committed to achieve the common goals. Thank you.